when you played hardcore music and you started to feel that, yeah, you want more melodies. You don't just want to be angry. That you start to listen to other bands, maybe bands that do a little bit more melodic stuff and maybe unexpected things. And all of a sudden you sit there with an album from Mogwai or Explosions in the Sky, and you just dream yourself away and like, oh, this is fucking beautiful. Maybe, what if you can combine this dreamy post-rockish 16-minute songs to more indie. So that's kind of what formed the EF sound. Like you take the Explosions in the Sky long songs and combine them with the vocal parts, and that we got more from the good emo years.
Hey, what's up, Vox and Hops heads? I'm Matt, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, brought to you by Sound Talent Media and Evergreen Podcasts, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians, talk all about their lives and music while sharing a craft beer. Hope you had a killer weekend. I most certainly did. This Vox and Hops episode is presented by Heavy Montreal. Heavy Montreal are Montreal's premier metal promoter, and I'm very stoked to have teamed up with them to bring you Brutal Montreal 2023. That's right, Brutal Montreal is back, and it's coming up on April 15th at MTELUS. This year's event will feature performances by Clutch, Amigo the Devil, and Nate Bergman. If you are planning on coming to Brutal Montreal 2023, well, you better grab your tickets right now via voxandhops.com/brutalmtl. That's voxandhops.com/brutalmtl, and you'll be taken to the official page where you can grab your tickets. I'm beyond stoked to have teamed up with Heavy Montreal to create a brand new metal and beer fest in my hometown of Montreal. I am beyond stoked to have Heavy Montreal behind the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast. Now, for today's artist spotlight, I'm very stoked to be shining some light on the experimental rock metal band Todd. Get ready, everyone. Here is their track, Love's Lament.
Of your time and I'll give you the truth. It can be hard to do what's right, and I'm the proof. For so long I've held myself back, like I got something to lose. crooked, you're fractured, you're so confused. You're looking for answers, but I know you probably spit them in the face if they didn't suit you. You're not remorseful, you don't take things back. You're stubborn and reckless, but you know that. It must be nice to never make mistakes. You played a victim in all of your charades. And maybe I'm ashamed, 'cause maybe I'm to blame. Maybe it's all my fault all over again. But since I try not to care, I somehow go 6 feet taller, and you're just getting smaller. I can't take another moment of you asking me if I'm lost somehow, if I'm lost somehow. And I won't break another promise that I have made. That's all over now. That's all over now. And I won't meet your gaze if you dare to look at me like I'm lost somehow, like I'm lost somehow. And you'll be the one to fake a fucking smile when you hear my name, and you'll realize you forgot all about me. Hold me
Damn, that was sweet. I really enjoyed all the melodic sides of this track, something completely different for the artist spotlight that I've been doing for the past few weeks. Todd is a two-man band that started out as a passion project to explore their musical ideas from vastly different hard rock genres, from heavy metal sound to dreamlike post-rock, with the occasion indie or math rock element. Love Lament that you just heard is a culmination of all of these ideas. Todd's Love's Lament dropped back on January 30th, and it is the first single from their upcoming EP, which will be dropping this spring. If you enjoyed Todd's Love Lament and would like to find out more about the band, you can go and check them out via the link that I've put in the description of this podcast. Massive cheers to Todd for being a part of the Vox&Hops Artist Spotlight. Now, before we jump into today's episode, I would just like to ask you to follow the Vox&Hops Metal Podcast on the podcast platform of your choice. But more than that, I would love for you to tell a friend about the podcast. If there's someone in your life that just loves post-rock and post-metal, well, you should let them know that the Vox&Hops Metal Podcast exists. You can tell them that there are over 390 episodes where I sit down with some of the world's best metal musicians. We talk all about their lives and music while sharing a craft beer. If you would encourage one of your post-metal or post-rock loving friends to become a brand new Vox&Hops head, that would be something that I would truly appreciate. Now, today on the podcast, I'm very stoked to be with Niklas Åström of the band EF. Get ready, everyone. This is Vox&Hops episode number 398.
I warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Today, I'm very stoked to be with Niklas Åström of EF, a post-rock band that I absolutely love. I think it's the first, maybe the second post-rock artist that I have on a metal podcast, and people are like, why? It's because I love post-rock, and I was very stoked when Robin from The Ocean, from Pelagic Records, made the introduction for us to have this chat. So massive shout out to Robin for doing that. And I love Pelagic Records. People know that because you listened to that episode. Simple. Niklas, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing absolutely fine. It's Saturday night, and sitting here with you is it's cool. It's a cool way to spend a Saturday night.
I agree. I agree that I'm actually in Winnipeg right now. It's brutal Winnipeg tonight. I came here yesterday. I enjoyed a bunch of great beers with my friend Dan. We went to 4 breweries. It was a great night. So I'm very happy to be with you.
Awesome,
let's just you just took a sip of something. Let's get into it. Vox and Hops is all about hanging out with my metal friends, talking about their lives and music while sharing a craft beer. What beer do you have on your side that we're going to be sharing virtually today?
Yeah, I'm actually drinking Stigbergets Brewery.
Yes.
Local brewery from Gothenburg. This was actually one of the first New England style IPAs I tried in 2016. And it was a kind of new deal in Sweden back then. And since then it's exploded, of course.
Yes.
The tropical fruity hops and soft mouthfeel. But now the brewery has a 10-year anniversary of their successful IPA, so they re-released it. So it's fun to drink it
again.
This anniversary.
I love revisiting things that you fall in love with.
Yeah.
The breweries tend to like give us stuff and then take it away, which is sort of smart of them, right? It's marketing, but it's nice to revisit things. I like that very much. On my side, I'm going to be drinking Occult Classic from Sookram's Brewing from here in Winnipeg. I was there yesterday with Andrew. Shout out to Andrew. This is a takeout. They have a Cult Classic, which is a Pilsner. This is a dark lager, Occult Classic. It's a 5% dark lager. I'm going to crack this, and I would love to hear about your very first beer. Do you remember the first beer that you ever drank?
Oh man, I guess I was pretty young, when you stole beers from your parents' basement or something and sat in a snow pile outside in the minus degrees and shared it with a couple of friends and became really drunk. I'm not sure if you actually became drunk.
Well, I think probably we did. We got excited, that's for sure. But that's very exactly. Swedish to do, sitting in a snow pile. Definite memories being from here in Canada of drinking beer outside, and it's so cold that your beer starts to freeze. So you're drinking the beer and there's like little pieces of slush in it, and that's a memory that I have. And it's something that probably not other people have experienced, maybe.
And that's kind of a style right now to actually do all these sour beers, slush style. So
true. Super hype. See, we were before our time.
We were first. Yeah, we were first.
I love that. This Occult Classic is awesome. It pours out really, really sweet, dark. It's a dark brew. It's nice bitter bite. It's creamy. Really, really nice. Sookram's Brewing, people, check it out if you haven't. How about craft beer? It just sort of evolved so crazily in Sweden. I've spoke to a lot of Swedish musicians, and the craft beer boom was just massive in Sweden. So how quickly did you fall into the trap of the rabbit hole of craft beer enthusiasm?
I mean, I always been enjoying beers like most musicians do, and when you're starting to tour in Europe, and you got to find all the Belgian beers and all the stuff. That was something else. But then I did a trip to the US, to the New York side, and there was so much hoppy beers going on back then, and just like, this is something else. This is not beer. And that wasn't even the New England IPAs. That was more the classic,
the more bitter, the more bitter.
yeah.
Bitter bite IPAs.
Yeah, and right now it's ridiculous how much money you can spend on craft beer if you're just interested. But I mean, it's the beer boom in Sweden is incredible, since it's a pretty small country. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many breweries we have. It's every single shithole has at least one brewer. And
then I've spoken about this with other Swedish artists. The Systembolaget. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the monopoly of, if you want to get higher ABV beers, you have to go to Systembolaget.
Yeah, that's true. It's run by the government, because the government doesn't believe that Swedes can handle alcohol. Then we will get drunk and ruin the country. So they have to control it. So you have to really plan your drinking, which is kind of annoying in one way.
Because people have told me that it closes and it's open at weird hours. So you do have, other people have told me that too. You have to be organized. There's no like late night. Oh, I'm gonna go grab a 6-pack. It's closed, and you'll have to drink. It's 3% beer that you can buy elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So you really plan your weekend ahead, and you buy a lot of beers to drink both Friday and Saturday. But since it's often so fun to drink, then you end up drinking in the mall on Friday. so then you're out on Saturday anyways. I need to go get new ones. So I don't know about how this is really working out for the Swedish government.
They seem to figure something out.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear about the soundtrack of your youth when you were growing up in your parents' or guardians' house. What music was playing when you were not in control of the radio? What music did your parents or guardians listen to?
The problems with my parents is that they're totally not interested in music at all. I mean, my dad probably listened a little bit to Elvis Presley and Chuck Berry stuff, but my mom is really not musical at all. She listened to the radio. That's kind of this thing. But I grew up with two older brothers that were really into music, and Bruce Springsteen, Michael Jackson, and later on I got introduced to Metallica and Guns N' Roses in the 80s. And yeah, from there on, you just find your way yourself with the grunge wave with Nirvana, and then the hardcore scene in Sweden were exploding in the mid-90s with Refused and a lot of cool stuff. So yeah, I think I've done pretty good on the musical path. And
Sorry, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, without my parents' help.
I have spoken to a lot of musicians that have like older siblings, and they introduce a bunch of stuff that way into their life and get exposed to a bunch of amazing artists. What would be an artist that you introduced to your brothers at a young age? Do you remember the first one that you were like, you have to listen to this, and they hadn't heard it yet?
No, I'm not really. I think they were more into the metal or hard rock scene, like I said, with Metallica and Guns N' Roses, and maybe a little bit of that. Maybe a little bit of the Sepultura or Pantera. But then I started to listen to more of the Swedish hardcore, which was, I don't really know if they got it or not, but I think I introduced Refused to our household.
And was your parents like receptive to this aggressive music coming in? Your brothers listening to all this metal music, or was it scary for them, or were they just accepting this is what the kids listen to now?
I think they were more happy that we just didn't bother them that much. That they were closed in our rooms and listened to heavy music instead of fighting with each other in the kitchen or something.
Yeah.
So I think they were like, let the boys do what they gotta do, so we can have some parent time.
Amazing. So music gave them that, which is great. At what point did music become more than just a listenership? At what point did you start performing music? At what point did you get the itch to be a musician?
Yeah, we have in Sweden, we have this also the government done something right with the in school you learn to practice instruments.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Which means that you can for free like choose to play drums, for example, for a couple of years, and you don't even have to buy a drum kit, or your parents doesn't have to buy a drum kit. You can just go to the school and you get it all served. So I think in the early 90s, when you started to go to the youth houses and they have some practice room with all the gears, and you can just book it for 3 hours or something and rock out with your friends. And once again, I think the hardcore scene was what got me into playing music. It was exactly the right age when you become old enough to understand things and become a little bit angry on stuff, and you need to let that frustration out, and the hardcore music helped us.
Amazing.
I'm also growing up in the north of Sweden with kind of the same temperature as you have in Toronto. So half of the cold and half of the year it's really dark and cold. So the hardcore music helped us to heat up a little bit and scream it out.
It's so amazing. I think it's so amazing that Sweden offers that to kids. I think it's so important. And then people are always like, well, how did Sweden have this boom of musicians? Why? This is why. It's because music is a part of education. It's a primary subject. It's more it's as important as English and math and literature. And I wish that more countries invested in the artistic future of their cultures. I think it would be very important having the jam rooms available for kids to, because what are kids going to do, right? What are kids going to do if they can't go play music? They're going to go do stupid shit.
Yeah.
So let them have that cathartic release of playing music with their friends and being artistic and expressive, so that they're not using this energy negatively. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I guess you heard right now about all this strange thing that happened in Sweden with all the shootings and the bombing and the gang things. And that's also kind of because they also had the same opportunity with probably the jam rooms and the computers and everything with the gangster rap and all that stuff. So I mean, it's in such a small country as Sweden, music can take so many turns. And, I mean, you can involve so much people, but some people turn to the good stuff and some people turn to the bad stuff.
That's human nature right there.
That's human nature.
Yeah, you can plant a garden, all the same seeds in the same garden with the same light, and then sometimes some plants grow differently. It's life, right?
Yeah,
all the same opportunities, but people choose different paths because we have free will, right?
Yeah.
How about your first show? Do you remember your first time going to see a show, the first band that you went to go see ever?
I think I was seeing a band called Fireside. You know them?
No.
From Sweden. They were really early with playing some kind of quicksand sounding hard emo, early emo, when emo wasn't a bad word, when emo was something good. It was in a big sports hall. I think it was Breach. You know Breach?
No,
Swedish,
sorry. Yeah.
Swedish early. If you ask Robin from the Ocean, he played with a few other Breach guys in his projects. But I think it was one of those. You gather the biggest bands from this town in a big gymnastics hall, and you threw in 300 kids with white pants and band T-shirts, and it's only sell soft drinks, of course. And all of them were high in sugar, and they just wanted to scream and jump around and mosh pitting. It was my first experience, and I think I was maybe 14, and I never experienced that kind of happy violence in one way.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Yes, I'm doing a whole project right now about mosh pits called Pit Culture, showcasing the beautiful social things that happen in a mosh pit that looks so chaotic and violent, but in its essence, it's a pure joy.
Yeah, and I was standing there. I was just a young kid, and I was too afraid to join a mosh pit there and then. But of course, I was still pumped up with adrenaline just watching it, because it's a tumble dryer. It just becomes more and more. So I think the show after the next show I went to, I joined the mosh pit, and I think I even did my first stage dive the show afterwards.
Amazing.
So it really got me going. It's like, I need to be a part of this. It's amazing to see all these people.
Were you already playing in school at that point, or did it start after the show?
No, I was already playing in school, but I mean, it wasn't like that in my school orchestra.
Yeah. Sadly, there was no circle pits at the school.
No circle pits. Yeah.
At what point did you end up on stage? Do you remember your first show?
Yeah, I mean, it was in the earlier hardcore age as well. So it probably wasn't many years later on. But I didn't start out as a drummer. I did start out as a vocalist or as a screamer. I couldn't really play much instruments, but I could scream a lot.
Oh, so you started as a vocalist, a screamer?
Yeah.
And did that come naturally to you?
I don't know. I think when you're young and starts to scream, your voice can sound very different from person to person.
It's true. You have to
So I think
the mic.
yeah, exactly. So I think I had one of the voices that pretty much fitted a more mature hardcore sound, maybe. But quickly, I wanted to play drums instead, and in my later projects, I've been playing drums. So that's now I wouldn't do much vocal. I did on the last album. We actually involved some kind of screaming.
I know,
on 2 tracks, which is I'm part of it.
that was the first for EF. Sorry, and of course you're talking about "We Salute You," you, which came out on November 4th via Pelagic Records. I look at it as a return. I don't know if I'm correct with that.
Yeah, kind of a comeback.
5 years between you released with Tiny Fingers, I want to say. Yeah. A split with them, and then before that, I think was Ceremonies, which was many years to 2013, so 10 years ago.
10 years.
But Cryptopsy takes just as long, but I wouldn't say that we're doing a comeback. So talk to me about taking a break and coming back and what this all meant to you. I was happy and I was super stoked when I saw the album. I get the emails from Pelagic, and I saw that the guys were coming back, and I was like, oh yes, because I really went through a deep post-rock rabbit hole because of my friend Mel Cleal, who's a friend of house. She showed me This Will Destroy You, and then from there I just started just digging. It's funny because I'm Montreal and I got into Godspeed way later, not realizing that they're one of the pioneers basically of the genre. So talk to me about. I was stoked that it was back because I really enjoyed Ceremonies. The Grand Delusion, I want to say, is another one.
Delusion's a grand area.
Thank you. Yes, I love those records, and I listened to them a lot, and I would put them on I work in daycare, right? So at nap time, I've put EF on a lot for the kids during nap, and I still do. So I'm stoked to be talking to you. All of this leading up to.
Cool.
I was happy that you guys were releasing a new album, and it came out, and it's amazing. So talk to me about taking a break, coming back. Was it a break? Was it a scheduled break? Was it something that you actually wanted to take a break, or did it just happen the way that Cryptopsy, it takes us forever to do something?
I think so. With Ceremonies, we never been a band that's been working with the music. We always been a band that has been using the music as some kind of getaway.
Interesting.
Because we all have regular day jobs, and we're working with 9 to 5 jobs, 5 or 6 days a week, and we all had starting to form families, had girlfriends for too long, and maybe you want to focus a little bit more on growing up than going on touring to drink free beers and eating cheese sandwiches in a backstage room. So 2013 with the Ceremonies, we said this is the album where we needed to really happen something. If it doesn't happen with Ceremonies, maybe we don't have that much more to give. You come to a point where when you release your 4th album and you still feel that you're on the same level as your last album. If it doesn't happen now, we really need to reconsider what EF is about. And we did a lot of touring with it. We started to play some festivals. We met the Ocean guys and got encouraged by them a little bit, and but nothing really happened. That was the problem.
It just sort of petered out.
The album was really well received and everything, but it didn't really. Nothing comes by itself. You really need to work to make things happen. But we were we didn't feel that we got the flow that we needed to keep it up. And then the first EF baby came, which meant 1 year break, and then the second came, and then and when one starts a family, it's easy for the next one to start a family because there's a break.
There's a break, a permission. You almost have permission to take time away.
So then we did the split EP, because we were talking a lot with the Pelagic Records about releasing something for them, and we were like, yeah, but we have a couple of songs we might need to do something with, like one last shot. And the EP, we did a lot for EF, a lot of touring with it as well. But in 2018, we kind of said to each other that maybe this is it. Maybe we reached a point.
We've reached as high as we can climb.
We don't want to become too commercial.
Interesting.
To do something, we still want to do what EF are about to do, and we felt maybe we can't do it anymore and put the same energy into it anymore as we want to. And then the COVID came, and with COVID, it was easy to just blame the pandemics that we didn't need to see each other for a couple of years. And I remember my girlfriend asked me, like, are you guys still active? Because you're still like working with the EF stuff, but you never see the other guys in EF. So are you guys still active or not? And I was like, I don't really know. I'm just doing EF stuff like I always do, sending merch and answering emails and updating our Instagram and
interesting.
Stuff like
so you're running the whole band. Let's say running the whole band, but there was no real goal in sight. We were just doing it out of habit almost.
Yeah, the band didn't talk to each other. We were just floating differently. And during the pandemics, I like, let's try to reach out to the guys and see if there is some interest to create music, because during the pandemics, a lot of people stopped seeing grandparents and going on vacations and whatever.
A little window of time.
Yeah, so like maybe we can find a weekend or two to just meet up and try to do something, and we did. And during that weekend, I think we did more music than we've done for the last 8 or 9 years.
Amazing.
Music that felt like we could actually keep as well.
Amazing,
sometimes you feel, this is a keeper, and this is like just, it was fun to play it, but it's
exactly
true.
Yeah. But this is EF. This is something that we could showcase and move on and be proud of.
Yeah, exactly.
So the pandemic basically almost gave you a gift of having the band come back.
Yeah, it gave us the gift that we suddenly had a lot of time.
Which is good.
Yeah, which is good. So
time is precious as we get older.
Time is precious, exactly. And the kids that were born in the late 20s, they started to go to kindergarten and stuff like that. So there was also time to get away for a few hours. But yeah, so that was good for us in one way. And it all of a sudden it all went pretty quick. We talked to Pelagic because they'd be reaching out to us, and he said, like, maybe we have a record for you, but
you have to wait, be patient.
Yeah, or
Robin had mentioned to me. Sorry to cut you off. Robin had mentioned to me that when he signs a band, he likes to sign them for a few albums so that he can build the band. He wants to build a relationship and build a band up. So is that something that you did with them? Because I think that Ceremonies was not on Pelagic.
No, Ceremonies was not on Pelagic. We released the Delusions of Grandeur EP. We released on Pelagic, and released the split EP with Tiny Fingers on Pelagic. But he didn't build us up. I mean, he just got EF, but of course he now have the if there will be another album, he of course have it.
You'll go back to Pelagic. So the relationship with Pelagic, you're happy with.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we thought maybe it takes 2 years for us to finish an album, but it took like 2 months.
Really?
And and then we rented a studio, and we met up in the studio to just record whatever we had on our demo, on our cell phones or whatever.
All the ideas, just emptying
all the ideas,
all those voice memo ideas. I love them.
Yeah, exactly, and just record it with real instruments and let them grow. And like, I think we had an album way before the vinyl market was ready to print another album.
It's insane how long it takes to from A to Z when you hand in an album until it's actually, people don't understand this, but it takes forever. It's getting a little bit better, but during the pandemic it was really, really, really horrible.
Yeah, so I think we were ready in February 21.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
No, February 22.
Okay, and then it takes about 10, 11 months, and it came out.
Yeah,
crazy.
So we released the first single in September.
Mm-hmm.
So 6 months to release a digital single.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
People don't understand. People don't understand how long. And then by that point, it's old to us, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, we were sick and tired of the songs. We were already starting to write new stuff.
Good. Well, that's I want to hear more stuff from EF. So let's keep it going. I want to talk about post rock specifically. Now, you're from the hardcore scene. You fell into a post rock band. Post rock really had like a massive boom late 2000s, let's say. Do you feel like post rock? Why did it peter out? Is my first question. I have a few other questions about post rock. Why do you think post rock sort of petered out?
I mean, when you played hardcore music and you started to feel that, you want more melodies. You don't just want to be angry. That you start to listen to other bands, maybe bands like At the Drive-In, or bands that do a little bit more melodic stuff and maybe freak out a little bit and do unexpected things. And all of a sudden you sit there with an album from Mogwai or Explosions in the Sky, and you just dream yourself away and like, oh, this is fucking beautiful. Maybe, what if you can combine this dreamy post-rockish 16-minute songs to more indie towards the hardcore stuff, but not becoming like a post-metal band or something like that. So that's kind of what formed the EF sound. Like you take the Explosions in the Sky long songs and combine them with the vocal parts, and that we got more from the good emo years.
I do think it's interesting that post rock seems to have sort of slowed down, and that there's less, because there was a moment where there was a lot of post rock bands, like a lot of them. Now I feel like there's much less, and I'm wondering if that has to do with a lot of these Explosions in the Sky is a perfect example, and Mogwai. These bands are not necessarily releasing albums anymore because they're getting hired to do soundtracks. And obviously, if you're getting hired to do a soundtrack, you're getting paid a lot of money. I would imagine. So is that, and then the time that you would put into a new album, into touring a new album, becomes heavy, right? Compared to just writing a soundtrack and getting a lot of money. Do you think that affected the scene in any way?
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, it's becoming so much more new bands filling up the gaps from the old giants. It's as you mentioned, Godspeed the Black Emperor. They're still doing their thing.
Yeah.
Record after record, they're still doing the Godspeed thing, which is, I mean, hands down, they're one of the greatest. But bands like Mogwai, they try to do stuff that is more in poppy, and they do soundtrack things, and they do the more aggressive stuff. They really floating around and doing their own thing as well. But I mean, whenever one of these bands disappears for too long for doing soundtracks or whatever, there comes 10,000 new young bands that's sounding pretty much exactly the same. I'm not saying they're super good, all of them.
Well, that is cool. You do see that there's a revitalization of the post-rock scene, because from my perception, I'm obviously wrong, maybe, is that it in 2013, 2012, it sort of just petered out, and the post-rock seemed to have almost disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, a lot, as I said, a lot of the big bands maybe have disappeared a little bit, but they're still around. I mean, Mogwai, Explosions, Godspeed, also the younger ones like Caspian, or This Will Destroy You maybe have disappeared now. I'm not really sure, but they're still around somewhere, lurking and just waiting to get out there again.
They made a soundtrack for a restaurant, which is super sick.
Okay, I hope it's a good restaurant.
I think it's like a fancy restaurant, and different. I think I might be wrong, but there's like different rooms, and the rooms play the songs.
Okay.
It's pretty.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I saw that release. I didn't really understand what it was.
Yeah,
I thought they was just smoking out and doing some alien stuff. But that sounds like a great idea, though.
It's pretty cool.
But I mean, there's so many young bands coming up. I think on Instagram, there's a lot of bands adding us, and you never heard about them, and you listen to them, and you're like, okay, this is a post-rock band, another one.
Good.
So I mean, the post-rock scene is still growing, or still alive. There's few of the big ones. The big ones are still very big. It feels like the middle section is a little bit panning out.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that gives me hope because I love it. I love post-rock. There's something about the dreamscape that it creates, painting a picture. It's very different from Cryptopsy, obviously, but I appreciate it very, very, very much. Something that's really important for me is mental health. I would love to hear your thoughts about mental health and how you personally take a moment to analyze yourself and make sure that you're doing okay. And if you're not doing okay, what steps do you take to try to make yourself feel better?
The thing with EF, why we had such a long break, is actually that our core member Danny actually got hospitalized.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because of his mental health. There was a lot of stuff going on, and he was kind of self-medicating with alcohol and different substitutes for medicine. And when he disappeared, the kind of EF sound kind of disappeared with him. Maybe that's also why we didn't create much music after the 2016 release with the Tiny Fingers. That was the last stuff he was doing, but we never really saw that one coming. To answer your question, like we were all about like, he's Danny. We loved him for the crazy person he was, but he was feeling like ill, and couldn't really maybe talk to us about it, which I think is pretty common when you're a tight group and you're touring and you take each other for granted a lot. You when you're on tour, you always want people to do the job in one way. Like everyone has their purpose and their part to do. Someone taking care of the techniques, and someone is taking care of the managing things, and you're so there's so much things that you need to do all the time, so you kind of maybe lose each other in that you like, you don't see each other for the persons they maybe are. You just they are your band members. They you don't see if they feel ill or if you understand what I mean.
I do. No, I completely understand, because you're so close with people on tour. Tight knit spaces. Yet if a person is shielded, it'll be hard to figure that out, because you're definitely, as you said, take them for granted to do their job of what they're supposed to be doing on the road with you, because everyone does end up having their tasks that repeats day after day, because as Nine Inch Nails says, Trent Reznor says, every day is exactly the same on tour, despite it being completely different. So what's he stepped away, he had to get hospitalized to reassess how he was self-medicating himself. I hope that he's doing better now.
Yeah, he was one of the reasons why we actually could release this album, because when he got better and we reached out to him to check up on him and see that the meds were working, and he said like, I really miss playing music. And we were like, but maybe we can try now, because it's Corona and none of us are doing anything, and none of us are going abroad or heading out to restaurants every week, and maybe we can just team up and play some music and see how you feel about it, because he hadn't touched an instrument for a few years. And
Wow. Okay.
and yeah, as soon as we sat down, we created more music in 1 week, and that we're doing for he just felt so good that he got this output in one way to just, I think he had a lot of stuff in him. And now when he feels better, we were afraid to actually ask him to release this album with us, and put the pressure on him to. Yeah, it takes a lot of effort to create an album, and also to fulfill it and go out to tour with it.
Is that something that is in the plans, that you guys going to tour it with Danny?
We toured in November, and it worked pretty well. We made sure that he was okay, and he got his meds from his doctor to be able to handle the depression, and we made sure he got a single room so he doesn't have to listen to our stupid voices all the time.
It can get heavy.
Yeah, it gets heavy. For us, it's not heavy. For us, it's necessary. But for someone that is not in the same space, in the same mental stage, it's probably pretty hard to just talk to fans at the merch table.
Oh yeah. So, I can completely understand and see that. So
yeah,
good for you guys for being so. Well, he's like, it's a family band, right? So you're like nurturing and taking care of this family member, so that you can still work together for future things. I think it's super important. I think a lot of people don't realize that some of the favorite bands that they have, some of the people, when they created that music or when they played the shows for you, they were not okay. They were going through some issues, and it takes like a family to make sure that those shows and those releases happen, to take care of people. And it's okay to not be okay. And
exactly.
It's important to be a work in progress. It's okay to be a work in progress too, but you have to take care of your people when they're not feeling well.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to see the signals, but I mean, you're sitting in a tour event for maybe 6 or 8 hours a day to another show, but you still can't see how anyone is feeling. I mean, you ask them like, yeah, what's up, or how do you feel, and everyone's always saying, yeah, I'm okay, it's okay. Yeah, I'm just tired. I just want this trip. I just want us to get there so we can start sound checking.
So good for you guys for being so sensitive with him and taking care of him. And I send loads of positivity towards Danny, and I hope that he continues on this path of finding cathartic release through new EF music and staying on those meds that are working for him.
I think so. I hope so.
Absolutely. I'm doing a whole new segment called Fight the Hops, where I ask my guests one thing that they are working on that they would like to accomplish. It could be something physical, it could be something mental, it could be something career-wise. What are you doing right now to fight the hops?
Oh, what we're doing right now, we're trying to fucking survive this in economically shit show that is going around in the world, with the third world war around the corner, and electricity bill that are shooting through the roof. I mean, that's kind of what we're fighting right now. I don't know what I can do personally to to make this a better place to live, but I think we're just trying to work our way through each day at a time, and taking care of each other.
We have to take care of each other, and you have to take care of yourself. It is true that everything is more expensive now, and it's the paychecks.
I guess the
paychecks haven't changed. Oh yeah, Canada's getting slammed too. The paychecks haven't changed, sadly. So we have to be more creative, and that's something as an artist too that a lot of people don't realize, that all the side hustling that we have to do just to make it work for our own personal lives.
Yeah, I mean, when we were touring in November, we felt like we definitely noticed the lack of ticket sales, and
interesting.
I mean, and we saw a lot of shows being canceled last minute because of ticket sales, and I mean, people in Europe are having a real hard time, and holding on to their money and focusing on what's important, and we do that as well. But we're still musicians, so we need to focus on the musician stuff. We need to live in both worlds. We can't like, let's skip going on tour because
keep coming on tour. Come to North America, EF, so I could see you. I'd be so stoked.
We're trying to.
Has EF toured North America before?
We haven't. We've been on our way 2 times, but it's fucking difficult to get things going. We don't really know how to do stuff in on that side of the pond. It's tricky with visas and
it's a pain. Yeah, it's
expensive as shit with the flights and So we'll see. That's on our bucket list. Now when we're this old and been celebrating 20 years as a band, we have like a bucket list we need to fulfill before we're calling it a quits for real. and you a proper America tour is on one of the list. Even if you fucking lose money on it, we need to just do it.
Come on, Mogwai, come and tour North America and bring EF with you. We need like the post rock king tour. That would be sick. Caspian too. Come back. And Caspian's busy because the drummer's got that band SOM, and he's touring with that a lot right now. So
they'll
come back
also. Though. Yeah, of course.
One last question for you. Two questions. A collab. I like making collabs. I've released 60 to 80 beers in the past 2 years. I just love doing it. I'm trying to get Sookrams to be a part of some new project that I'm doing right now. If you could make a collab for EF, it could be anything. It doesn't have to be a beer. It could be a tea. It could be anything that really fits your band's brand. What would that be?
An electrical car.
Ooh.
No, just joking.
I would drive it. I don't have my license.
There's so much things that we haven't been doing, and like we see a lot of bands are doing. It's everything from coffee to pedals, to I don't know what, but EF is so fucking safe. I'm really sure what to answer on that question. What we want to do, because we're such different individuals. So I have to I can't really answer that question, I believe.
That's okay. What would be perfect? I'm thinking for myself now. Something chill. A beanbag, so you could sit in it and enjoy EF.
Maybe a beanbag. It's hard to sell at the merch table though.
It's horrible.
It takes a lot of
you need a whole trailer. That's what
but it would probably be nice to do something electronic at least. That's something for the future to hold on to.
I like that very much. One last question. It probably doesn't happen to you very often, but according to Robin, you guys are not the most typical post-rock band. You guys are a bit more crazy than other post-rock bands, he said. It's something about the first time he met you, and you guys were pretty intoxicated. So every once in a while, it happens to everyone. What is your hangover cure?
Our hangover cure is to actually get up in the morning and eat a big breakfast. If it's served, it's not always you end up at a place who serves you breakfast when you're playing, but get up early, fight the hangover, and eat a great breakfast and get out in the fresh air a little bit, and not just stay in bed and feel sorry about yourself. I think that's true. You need to get moving. I think that's the best one.
It's true, because if you bask in a hangover, it gets worse. You
exactly.
have to fight the hangover. I think it's important.
The more you feel sorry about yourself, the worse it gets. So, and usually when you're hangover on tour, you're always on the road. So you wake up and you sit in a van, and then you sit in the van for 6 hours. So the hangover just gets worse for 6 hours. That's a problem.
So no hangovers on tour. No hangovers on tour.
You always hang over the first 2 or 3 days. Then after a while, it gets your more normal state.
More pace. Your pacing gets better.
Yeah, exactly.
You're less excited to be on the road.
Yeah, but I believe that what you said about that we're not really the typical post-rock band. I think that's also been a problem for us. We haven't, as I said, for us it's more about a getaway for maybe 1 or 2 weeks when we're out on tour.
Mm-hmm.
We're not living the tour life. We focus to release an album, and maybe we do 2, 3, 4 weeks of shows, and then we're focusing on the next album or something.
Interesting. Yeah.
And when you're on a tour for only 2 weeks, you kind of have the urge to
take it all in, do it all.
Take it all in. Yeah, do it all. You don't have time to like FOMO. Wait to the last night or
exactly.
Something like
You never know. I know there's moments like that when I would approach touring. I know, is this the last tour? You know what I mean? I should live it as if it is almost.
Yeah, I mean, you can sleep when you're old, and
exactly.
Exactly. So we're not the ones that sit down in a cozy jazz bar and read a good book and drink a glass of red wine.
Well, now I'm even more excited for you to come over to Montreal so that we can. Yeah. I could take you out and you can sleep when you're older.
Yeah. I mean, it's on my bucket list, so we probably can expect the worst.
I love it. Niklas, thank you so much. Taking the time, hanging out with me, talking about life, talking about music, talking about post-rock, something that I love, drinking a craft beer. I had a great time. Yeah. Everyone go check out We Salute You. You came out on November 4th via Pelagic Record. It's a great record, and I'm stoked for the new music that's coming. Massive cheers to you. This was amazing.
Hey, thank you all so much for listening right to the end. You know that I love and appreciate that. Man, this is an awesome conversation. I love EF. I'm not sure if I got that point across enough throughout the episode. I feel like I told him a lot, but it's true. I sincerely do love post-rock. I don't talk about it very much, but it's something that I've truly fell in love with over the past 10 years, and it's a genre that I keep going back to. These are albums that I re-listen to, that I revisit, and I'm very, very stoked that Niklas told me that the genre is not, as I thought, dead or dying, that in fact it is being revitalized by young new bands that are inspired by all the bands that I love. So that makes me very excited. And I'm also very humbled that Niklas was so open about the time off that EF took and what went into bringing the band back. I truly am grateful that he opened up about that, because it's not always easy being in a band, and sometimes it's actually really hard. So thank you, Niklas, for opening up and talking about that, because it's not easy. I feel like more people have to understand that and know that you love this music that's being created, this art that's being created. Sometimes the people that are making it are suffering. So massive cheers to Niklas for spending some time with me, being awesome, being in a great post-rock band that I love, and being an open, vulnerable human. I appreciate that very much. Now, if you enjoyed this Vox and Hops episode, you should sign up to the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast mailing list. You can do that on my website, voxandhops.com. That's VOXANDHOPS.com. And when you do that, you shall receive one email a week that contains all of the details of everything that has happened recently in the world of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast. You'll get to see which episodes I dropped recently. We'll get to see which episodes I have coming up. You also get to hear about any projects that I have in the works before I announce them to the public, such as killer projects like Pit Culture and Haze Wars, two massive projects that I've been working on for the past few months that are going to see the light of day very soon. You will also get to see which albums the Vox and Hops album review crew have reviewed recently. You'll get to see which artists I will be including into the Vox and Hops artist spotlight, and you'll get to see which albums Jerry Monk, Vox and Hops' metal architect, has added to the Brutal Awakenings playlist. The Brutal Awakenings playlist is available on both Apple Music and Spotify, and it is packed with literally the best new releases each week, and Jerry does a great job at finding these gems and putting them on the Brutal Awakening playlist for all of our listening enjoyment. Trust me, you're looking for something new to listen to? The Brutal Awakenings playlist has you covered. There's always a lot of stuff going on in the world of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, and I hate when you miss a single thing, so please sign up to the mailing list. The Vox and Hops Metal Podcast is brought to you by Sound Talent Media and Evergreen Podcasts. I hope you have a killer rest of the week. I have one more episode coming up this Friday, but until then, remember to enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. Cheers, Vox and Hops heads.